So I first became involved in politics last October. What happened was that I joined, so I'm from Washington, D.C., that's my hometown. I grew up there. I'm 19. I graduated from high school last summer. In October, what happened was I met up with an alumni of my school, and he was running for D.C. Council at large. Now that's the legislative body of D.C., right? So the at-large position is also the one that's entire city, right? So he was looking for help. I was in a situation where I was like, you know what, I can do things. I just came off of a big summer travel, and I was like, you know, I'm ready to get back into the workforce and do something related to politics. And this opportunity came up. So that's how I first got involved, back in last October. In a DC Council at-large campaign. Let's just say so what made me decide to come to Idaho was that the opportunity presented itself. That's all it was. I met people while I was working on the campaign in DC who were interested in my abilities and what I was doing. I think politics is one of those things that people don't realize isn't as important as it is. So, for example, if you'd asked me a year ago that I'd be getting involved in politics at this kind of level, it was not even on the radar at the time, and it matters, and that's really what I want to say. It really matters, and young people don't realize that, right? So millennials don't vote. Young people don't vote, college students, they're like, someone else, my vote is 1 in a million and I've got so many other things to do. But it really matters. When I was even in DC, a city that's very politically connected, right? There's a certain group of people that are really running the insider game, right? Like there are public forums that I never knew about, my friends never knew about, my parents never knew about, because they were advertised in one spot. Right? And it was always the same people who'd go. And a lot of those people are now senior citizens, which is, not an issue. We want everyone involved, right? Voter turnout is the lowest it's been in ever, actually. And it's very important. I think there's a new movement. People are starting to like look up and say, hey, it's on the TV every day. And there's so much turmoil going on back and forth, which is not good for the government, mind you. There's a lot of things that are going, in my opinion, that are becoming a little bit more chaotic, right? Because so many things are changing, things will change by the week. People who are career bureaucrats, people don't like that word, but it's like, these are people who are running the government, right? Like, for example, look at the Secretary, the Department of, Look at the Department of State, right? Under Rex Tillerson, it's shrunk. It's shrunk by a lot. And what that means is that we can't do effective diplomacy as a country because of the fact that there's just not the people, there's not the infrastructure there anymore, right? This is the sort of moves that are happening. EPA has a similar situation, in fact, even worse, right? Because the Trump agenda is anti-environmental policies, right? And if you don't have the information, you can't make a policy on it. I think the two-party system is so entrenched that it's going to take a lot. It's going to take people's lives to be able to say, what we really need is we need a movement of we need to get current senators, people who are being elected, to all of a sudden say, we are breaking away from Republicans and Democrats and creating a third centrist party, which that's incredibly difficult considering the financing mechanisms behind all these campaigns, considering the amount of TV news coverage, the visibility. The thing with the internet is that it's a tool, in my opinion. It's a tool, which means the information is there. The danger is that you can watch the same news source every day, right? Or you can watch a bunch of different news sources, right? Most people, my age, your age, generally, watching either CNN, Fox, MSNBC, there's one station that they watch and they're like, I trust these guys. I don't see that as being like, oh, I'm going to 10 different sources. I'm actually understanding what Breitbart is spewing, regardless if it's truth or fact. I mean, the thing is that something like Breitbart, like, it has influence, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's undeniable.
You have to understand your enemy.
You have to see, but that's again where I feel like we have a problem in this country, because good citizens across the aisle cannot see each other as enemies. Cannot. That's how democracy dies, right there. Because if you see the other side as an enemy, you're never going to join sides on something.